Good morning. I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you, listeners. Thank you, everybody who's been watching and liking. And I'm gonna do a bigger step today, something that I've been thinking about for a while, which is to put in some more energetic or complex concepts and see how it feels because we've got a lot of energy going on, right? So the outer sun's been getting really quiet, right? But it also means that our inner sun, our inner work is starting to stir. And this is what we're feeling. We're being called to sort of listen differently. And that's what we're going to talk about today is the ways that we listen and the ways that information has been coming in that we are starting to pick up on and realizing, oh, we're in a new phase. Okay. So first, because it's so important, let's do um, the energetics of solar flares, Schumann resonance, and the geomagnetic storms, because that's a really good place to do an update. So first, the flares have been so quiet. I pulled up spaceweather.com this morning, and it was a B8.84, and I was like, wow! And it just has been going like, wow. And the very highest it got over this last week was a C 1.5, no, 2.5, excuse me. And it hung out between C1 and C2. And I'm just like, wow, there's just nothing going on with the flares that we can track yet. The body is just in this shaking, recalibration, symptoms are up, nausea, headaches, the same things. I checked with Pam Youngins, and the KP index yesterday went up to about like 4, which meant that we were in the middle of a mild G1 geomagnetic storm. And then I watched some people on the Schumann, and I thought it was super interesting that this huge wave on the Schumann resonance came in yesterday, which was the 6th of July. So started on the evening of the 5th, all through the 6th, and we were just sort of flattened out, laying on the couch, going, "What the heck is happening?" And so when the Schumann does this big white wave and pours energy in, what it tells me is that there's incoming intelligence, right? That isn't coming from the sun alone. It's coming through the earth. It's coming into our fields, and it is plasmic. It's high energy. And Alexander Quinn, cited this, that between the 3rd and the 6th, we were going to have an enormous wave of energy coming in, and that makes sense to me. I like the way Alexander works with the Palladians, and he gives us data that we can count on, because I sort of like batten down the hatches, planned a real quiet weekend because of this wave. Okay, so that's the first thing, is that let's just do the solar flares. Second thing is that, that I've been following Zachary Fisher. I like what he says. He seems to speak exactly to the resonance that I need when I'm trying to understand something. So he has a quote here that I think is what we want to build today around, which is, and I'm going to read it for you. We're sitting at one of the most pivotal timeline intersections Earth has ever seen. There are multiple realities playing out all at once. Some people are living in complete fear, survival mode, clinging to the old system, while others are already walking in sovereignty, trust, and a sense of purpose. Like something deep inside of them just knows which way this is all going. So this split is real, is what he says. It's not about politics or money or even belief systems anymore. It's about frequency, about resonance. People are waking up to how their thoughts and choices and inner healing directly impacts the reality that they experience. And I thought that paragraph right there gave me a purpose for what I wanted to talk about today and how I'm going to sort of build this construct for us, because we're not debating systems anymore. We're choosing resonance. We're sort of stepping away from the argument of he said, she said, the division lines. And we're like, what is in resonance? And why can't I just even, I can't listen to it. I can't be around it. I don't want to talk about it because it's not political. This is an energetic migration that we are making as a human population, right? So this week, we're going to notice that there are some timelines, especially because we went through July 4th, where patriotism and the big beautiful bill was passed, and there are these things that are just agitating everybody. And yet it isn't about that. It's about resonance. So what I want to do is then jump to the next point, which is that Pam Youngins put up this wonderful piece about Dr. David, what's his name? David, oh my goodness, David Hamilton. He's a PhD, and he wrote about the mirror neuron system, and basically what she put into her post, and then she followed up with a couple others, is that this mirror neuron system is part of the brain that activates when you observe somebody else's emotions, gestures, or energy. It allows you to internally mirror what they're doing or feeling so your systems can understand without words. And so in tracking this mirror neuron system, what I thought about was I like knowing about this guy. I like the way that Pam connected it, but I'm going to take it one more step, which is this isn't just our empathic skills, it's our energetic data collection, and it connects to our clairs, and it connects to our claircognizant, our clairsentience, it interfaces through the mirror neuron system, which means that what we do is we see something, and internally we're patterning it, like, oh, what are they doing? Oh, I'm breathing like that. I'm walking like that. I'm patterning this, of course, because this is how we do human survival, but it's also telling us what we're reading. So for those of us who are energy readers, we're just like on this thing, like this tells me how my clairs interact with everything, and that I'm not imagining how somebody else feels. I'm actually feeling it in my biology, and I'm a good reader, right? So this is where you can walk into a room and you can go like, I know something's off, or you can turn on a program and go, nope, don't want to watch this. This is where our mirror neuron system. So look it up. Look up Hamilton's work. There's some links on Pam Youngin's Facebook. I think it's wonderful. Okay. So what happens when we're mirroring, when we're starting to pick up things, and there's this timeline shift, or there's something that's changing that we can't put our fingers on? I thought I would walk you through some of the layers of the sovereignty that we're actually working with. And I've been, researching this to sort of make sure that I describe it well to you, because again, it's kind of complex, but I love this stuff. So first and foremost, on the 3D level within our world, we're seeing these cracks in the structure. Like the systems that used to work, they now feel foreign. The institutions feel like they're super energetically heavy. You'll notice that forms or appointments or official documents just seem really, really draining, and your body is withdrawing from consent, which is, you know what? I'm not doing that right now. And so when our body pulls back and our field pulls back, we're like, whoa, something in the 3D is changing, it's rocking. So then when we go to the 4D, it's when the identity starts to collapse, right? It's the energetic version of this like paper self, the person that you've put out there, that narrative is starting to dissolve, right? And remember that Uranus is going into Gemini tomorrow, right? And when it goes into Gemini, what happens is that narrative starts to part on a much higher energetic level. And so what we're seeing is on the fourth dimension, you're going to feel wobbly. You're emotionally, going to feel really volatile. And your old emotional contracts and signatures and everything are collapsing. Everything that you thought you wanted to do in a sort of this is how I hold myself together in structure is going to start rocking, especially when Uranus goes into Gemini tomorrow. Okay. So on the 5D level, this is where sacred governance starts to awaken, right? This is when we're like, oh, this is who I really am. This is why we talk about the word sovereignty, right? It's soul law that begins to make your choices. You don't keep things, you don't need the outside anymore for permission. You remember your soul aligned architecture and who you are, what you're here for. And you start to go like, oh, isn't that interesting? They're still trying to trap us into medical systems. They're still trying to trap us into party systems in government. They're still trying to trap us with mind programming through TV. And you're like, wow, I'm just so aware of this now. It's interesting. Okay. And then there's this cosmic layer, which is where the oversoul is sort of doing this, or our higher self is doing this alignment, right? So it's galactic and its ancestral contracts are being rewritten. It's like you are becoming a new coordinator of what resonates with you and what doesn't. And Earth is realigning itself to meet you, and you're realigning to meet the Earth. So we are changing energetically on so many different levels. So hang in there, because this is where it starts to get interesting. And then I've got some tips for you, right? So what if we said that there's these solar flares, right? And we're having these symptoms of the solar flares. And what if we changed it to like, hmm, what if it's not solar flares, it's sovereignty. And it's these surges that are through plasma, through energy, through awakening, through the tap, 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 and the tower moments, right? Are sort of calling us in to be who we are, to align with what we know, to accept who we are, and to frame these as signals, not problems. So when we get this jolt from the solar flares, what we do is our body is exiting codes that are false structures, right? And then what's entering is these codes for sovereignty. So we're literally recoding our bodies. These aren't symptoms of things that are going wrong. They're signs that you're no longer participating in a false structure, and you can feel the relaxing. You can feel the dismantling. You can feel the restructuring coming along. Does that make sense? Okay, so if we are having these sovereignty surges, right? Then what I have is this really cool bulletin list that or bullet list that I put together. Um, been creating for about a week now, of some of the things that you might actually be feeling. And the terms I thought were interesting. I put the terms into Chat GBT and it came back out as this, and I'm like, this is interesting, and yet at the same time, I love it. So first and foremost is called birth certificate burnout. And I was like, what is that? It's where your nervous system refuses to engage in forms and institutions and government. And you're like, my body just doesn't want to do it anymore. I don't care. That certificate that says I'm a US citizen or I'm a this or that. I was like, nah, I don't want to do that anymore. I have wisdom inside of me. I'm doing something different. So then the second one is timeline vertigo, that there are flashes of deja vu, right? Or even future memories. And where you are, you go back and you go forward, and it feels like you're walking between worlds. What it feels like you're extremely high and you can't figure out where to put your attention. And yet, you've been drinking water, you've been resting, you've been taking care of yourself, and you have this vertigo. Number three is the sovereign heart expansion. Now, I have felt this for the last week and a half on such, sometimes even a scary, profound level, is that there are surges of emotions that come in that feel old and ancestral, and my heart is having this response to it. And it's like I'm free. And so I felt things like cracking open of the chest. I felt really fast palpitations. I felt upgrades coming in. And I'm like, okay, so the heart is definitely doing something, right? Number four, voice reclamation, the need to speak out and to speak directly. I'm wondering if I have one here. It doesn't. I don't have a card that really talks about the speaking. Um, what happens is that we become much more direct. There's no fluff. There's no apology. We don't dilute it. And you've even noticed this in my videos. Over the last 4 to 5 videos, I've been much clearer and much more direct. And I'm thinking, where did that come from? My voice is becoming more directed into who I am and what I have to say. And you, as listeners, are hearing it and going, "Yes, thank you. That's what I've been feeling." So we're connecting here. Okay, 5. Exit contracts are nullified, which means that we used to think, you know what, I'm just not going to stay here. I don't want to be a part of these trauma timelines. And yet now we're going, huh? this is getting interesting. I'm not leaving. I'm going to get a seat and stay and watch this, or I'm going to participate, or I'm going to shape this, right? So we're not really thinking about those exit contracts anymore. Number 6, magnetic reorientation, which is this physical clumsiness and imbalance. It's almost like like, and I'm not losing my legs aren't, it's not that my legs aren't working or I'm losing my balance. It's that I really feel like I'm just a little bit off in the physical world, and my body is sinking to a new true north. So it means that this magnetic reorientation means our whole body is starting to sort of do something very, very different, is what I would say. That makes sense. Number 7, the straw man reflection breaks, which is the mirror feels off. Your appearance, your identity feels foreign. The urge to sort of, yeah, drop names, drop titles, drop digital persona. Like, I don't want to be this anymore. It's almost as if that whole narrative that we started to present ourselves as just wants to drop away. I think that's a great one. Number 8, the field level authority retrieval, which is you stop outsourcing to people, places, and things outside of yourself, right? And I don't need to explain who I am. I just am, which goes to both these two, which I love, which is I know who I am, and this is what I do. I'm going to focus on what brings me joy. And this one, which is I'm going to stand very proudly, beautifully in the strength of who I am, coming out from this controlled narrative human into what I was really born to be here and do. Makes sense? And, there's this little bonus one that I want to put in because I work with the diamond frequency kids, which is that we are having crystal clarity and that the tone in your chest and the knowing in your bones is starting to just really connect. And that frequency, that diamond frequency is beginning to shape, to sort of show us. Okay. So, ha. I have 5 tips for 10. I have 5 tips for you. And before we go into the tips, just know that I've been posting a lot onto Patreon, and we have a conversation every Tuesday at 5 p.m. You're more than welcome to come join. I also have a tarot support tier in there, and would love to see you come into the Patreon. The link is down below. You can come find me there. Find all of us, right? Okay, so 5 tips for navigating this sovereign integration that we're doing, right? Okay, so the first one is that we've talked about this last week, which is to do field hygiene, right? Over fear management, right? Prioritize your own energy clearing. Take your baths, movement, silence. I have this wonderful Tibetan bowl that I use. When I need to clear my field and to just ground myself. So and get out into nature, because what we're doing is we're doing our whole field management rather than stay in fear. Number 2, let your body lead. Your body knows what to do. When your body says I'm tired, then you need to sort of close everything down and rest. When your body's getting restless, when you're watching a program that you've loved, or something on Netflix, or you're streaming and something you've loved to do and you're like, "Oh, I can't do this anymore." Let your body lead, because it's going to take you out when it doesn't want to be there, and it's going to lean in when it's helping, because your nervous system is now your compass. Whatever your nervous system needs, this is what you give it, right? Number 3, you speak sovereignty really softly. You're not here to convince. I'm not here to sell. I'm not here to push or to pull you in. I'm just here to invite you, right? To speak from the center with love and clarity. So when I'm speaking my sovereignty, it's like either you get it or you don't. Either this resonates with you or it doesn't. And so what we do is we soften how we present ourselves, which is such an interesting, try it at work, try it in your family. Stop pushing or guiding and just allow your energy to be part of your voice as well, your sovereign energy. Number 4, Um, Track the bell tones, the flashes in your memory. Write them down. Journal. There's these pings, and we talked about this over the last maybe 2 to 3 weeks ago. It says you're going to get these pings, you're going to get these drop-ins, you're going to get these synchronicities. So you want to start to track them, because when you track, what are you noticing? When you track what your nervous system needs, when you track what foods help you and what foods don't help you, then now you're in your energy field management really well. And number five, have compassion. Always have compassion, because each of us has our own individual journey as to how we're going. Um, it's going to be ours and ours alone. And then we get to watch them and we can go, gosh, I wonder what stage they're at, or I wonder what's really going on, because we can have a lot more um, compassion for the fact that some people are going to act out. Some people are going to freak out. Some people are going to smile and it's going to be really easy. And some people are just, leading, and some are following, and some are choosing to leave, to check out. So just know that we have compassion for all of this, because these really aren't symptoms. We're remembering. We're birthing forth things that we've known that exist within us that we haven't had access to, or that we're starting to nurture out now, because our field is being updated and it's time to walk into it, because the false timelines are falling away and we're now this signal. So, like, how do we become an active signal every day for who we are and what we do? So I hope that was helpful. It was a lot more data than I thought, and and I want to see what you think. Please put your comments down there. Please let me know whether it resonated and what else you want to know. And if not, if I don't hear your comments, I'll see you next week. And thank you so much for tuning in.